Okay, well, we're heading into Parrsboro, Nova Scotia. That's on the Bay of Fundy. We're coming in from the north side. There's the Ford dealership and the RCMP station just beside. Parrsboro is a really old town that had quite a shipping history, and so there's a lot of really nice old houses here that were built by people who had something to do with shipping, I suppose, captains and, I don't know, sea crews of all kinds. Anyways, so back in the day there was a lot of prosperity here, a lot of money, and as a result, some pretty fancy houses. There's a lot of really nice architecture. So we're heading towards downtown here. Up on the left, as soon as we get right down to town, just before we go into the main street, you'll see the old museum. Not that one. I think it's coming up next. Anyways, it's the location of the old museum. Now the museum has moved, and I think that the town offices are in that building, just on the left. And so there's the Irving and a whole bunch of stores along the right here. Let's see what else we've got. The post office is on the right, just here. There's a whole lot of stores. Some of these buildings have, one of them anyways, has a really neat gallery in it with a sail loft upstairs, and they have all kinds of, I don't know, artistic things going on in there. It's one of the big churches here. And I suppose some of the banks, I think the credit union was just there, and the Royal Bank is just here on the left. And coming up on the left is the Armory, which used to be the old post office, and it's the stone building just here on the left. And I think it was for sale last year, or maybe a couple of years ago, and it didn't sell for a whole lot of money, I don't think. Maybe it still hasn't sold, I'm not sure. Anyways, this is setting out of town towards the pier. I suppose this is the basin or the harbor on the right here for Parrsboro. And there's a reservoir on the left, and I believe that they generate electricity when the tide is out and it goes from the river level down to tide level. And just here on the right is the location of the museum. Now, this is the Fundy Geological Museum. Parrsboro is famous. It's on the shores of the Bay of Fundy, and it's famous for having a lot of fossils, dinosaurs, things like that, in this area. Anyway, so there's a Fundy Geological Museum, which opened in the mid-90s, I think. And this is the commercial fishing wharf. It's a fairly busy wharf here in Parrsboro, so towards the mouth of the harbor. You can see that the boats are quite a ways down below dock level, and the reason for that is that the tides here are quite extreme. In this area, I don't know about right here, but in this area there's, I think the maximum tide they've recorded is 52 feet from high tide to low tide, so that's a pretty extreme range of tides here. Anyways, the harbor's on our right. To the left is the open ocean, and I suppose off on the left you can see there's sort of a restaurant on that beach there where you can get fish and chips and clams and stuff like that. All kinds of seafood. Anyways, through this narrow gap you can see there's a lighthouse across from us here off the end of the wharf. And through this narrow gap there's quite a current whistling by. And that's the harbor of Parrsboro right there. It's quite well protected. But you can see the boats are well down below dock level. Extreme tides again. Anyways. And this is the ship's company theater. It's on the deck of a ship called the Kippawa. And the Kippawa was a ferry that used to go back and forth between Parrsboro and Wolfville. Wolfville's on the other side of the bay. And that's the home of Acadia University in Wolfville. Anyways, the Kippawa was brought in here and I suppose filled in or run aground or whatever. Anyways, on the deck of it they used to, maybe they still do, have plays and all kinds of theater events happening here. And I think there's restaurants that you can get dinner, that kind of thing. And for me, I'm a geologist, so a trip to Parrsboro is not complete without stopping at Eldon George's rock shop. He's got an awful lot of rocks in here. Anyways, one of the things he's famous for is finding the smallest dinosaur tracks, or something like that. Tracks of the smallest dinosaur ever. And his granddaughter, Amanda, told me that also in this display case here is the tracks of the largest crocodile ever found. And apparently Eldon found that as well. He's got quite a little museum here of marine fossils and current recent shells anyways, and of all kinds of things from all around the world. I don't know if he went around and collected those himself or if people have dropped them off to him, but anyways, quite a nice little museum there. Those things are not for sale, but out in here, these things are for sale. And these are rocks that either Eldon has found himself for his family, or rocks that I suppose maybe he buys from wholesalers or that kind of thing. But he's got an awful lot of really neat rocks for sale in here. And you might notice that some of them have funny colors. And there are a few things you'll see in rock shops that are either turquoise or pink or purple or whatever. Those weird colors are there because they're stained. It's actually a dye that soaks right into the rock and gives them those weird colors. Anyways, oftentimes you'll see that on agates. And that's Eldon's granddaughter Amanda. She runs the place now. Anyways, here we are heading out to Ottawa House. This is out towards Partridge Island. And that's where I believe the family, the owner I suppose, and the operator and family, the crew of the Mary Celeste. And that's the famed ghost ship of the North Atlantic. And that's where I think they lived and grew up, in Ottawa House. And this is the beach out towards Partridge Island. Out along this beach, right on the floodplain, there's this cute little cottage. This is it just here. Anyways, it's right on the floodplain. Apparently it doesn't get flooded out, but it certainly ought to if you see where it's located. What a cute little cottage though, just tiny little thing. Anyways, on Partridge Island, I don't know if you can see it, but just off to the tip here, there's a weir. W-E-I-R. Anyways, it's sort of like a dam or a net that when the tide comes in, the fish go in with it, and when the tide goes out, the fish get trapped in behind this weir. And so it's kind of like a commercial fishing net. Anyways, that's it. Bye for now.